So in English classes, our aim as teachers is to give our learners as many opportunities as possible to speak and interact and use the language in a meaningful way. So when teaching vocabulary or checking the learner's understanding of the vocabulary, a common activity that we often see in course books is for learners to match pictures or words from A to G, for example, with numbered nouns or other pictures. And it's a very simple matching activity. Learners might draw a line or just simply write the letter that corresponds. This is a really useful activity, but it's better suited as a homework activity, for example, where learners are working on their own and they can take their time to think about the answers. But in the classroom, we don't want learners sitting in silence drawing lines. Because they're there to speak and we want to help them improve their speaking, but also as a teacher, trying to mark 20 different pieces of paper with lines is just a nightmare and you can't do it. So what's the alternative? Well, you can try a matching activity, and this can be very simple with your nouns or your words from A to G with the words that correspond. And this can be created in a simple grid format, which you can cut up and learners simply match. Or as you can see here in the video, we have a dominoes activity. Again, it's a very simple document to create. You create a simple grid with 2 columns, but you have at the right side of the domino, on the right column, you have the opening phrase or the noun. For example, if you're teaching basic vocabulary, you might have a picture of an apple. Then on the row down, on the opposite column, on the left-hand side column, you'd actually have the noun apple. And then when you finish creating the dominoes, you would simply cut across the rows so you have strip. Now, in order for the learners to complete the task, they have to form a circle. And if this is done in a pair, it means that they have to perhaps negotiate, they have to agree, they have to disagree. And it just is an opportunity for them to increase their interaction, and it just makes the whole activity a lot more engaging. And as a teacher, it's much easier to mark, to monitor, to give support, because you can actually physically see what they're doing. Also, it's great for peer correction and peer support, because if a group of learners, for example, have finished and you've checked their answers and they're correct, you can ask them to go and support another group of learners. So it's a really great way to make a vocabulary activity something a lot more engaging. And you can have the simple matching. The dominoes takes it to the next level and adds that little bit more of a challenge, because they have to form the circle, they have to get all the answers correct. So if there's one that's incorrect, they have to rethink the whole circle and why it hasn't matched up. So it's a brilliant way to get learners talking. And the key thing is that the learners absolutely love it. Now, the great thing about this activity is it works at all different levels with all different types of vocabulary. You can do as many items or as few as you like. It doesn't just have to be vocabulary items. It could be, as you can see here, this is actually a class practicing small talk. So we had the opening phrase and then an appropriate response to a phrase, and learners had to go around, match them, and then when they finish, they could then practice that vocabulary. They could practice those phrases. It works with definitions and words, and obviously you can have as complex vocabulary as you like. It doesn't really matter what type of vocabulary you're using. It's the actual activity itself that's important. So if you want to explore this more, maybe use it in your classes, maybe you're already using it, you can download the PDF below, and it gives you a quick guide, and there's a quick template that you can use and borrow and copy. And let me know if you've used this activity yourselves and if it works.